Hey Spartan fans, welcome to the Spartan Scoop. I'm your host, Seth Newman. Michigan State will face Miami in the NCAA tournament tonight, and freshman big man Nick Ward is going to be a key factor in determining who wins. This year's team has a lot of similarities to the 2002-2003 team because that team was a 7 seed in their region and they made it all the way to the Elite 8. This year's team is a 9 seed and they will face number 8 Miami. So what did I do? I got one of the key members of the 2002-2003 team to give us his insight to tonight's matchup and especially the mentality of Nick Ward. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about one of Michigan State's all-time great big mans, Paul Davis.
Ager inside to Davis. 10 seconds on the clock. Davis. Oh, what a big play by the big freshman as he takes it in hard. It's tied at 58. We're in the final minute. 10 on the shot clock. 7 on the shot clock. This is Anderson. Davis again, the freshman. Gets it off the glass. 2 big baskets by freshman Paul Davis. He was the high school player of the year in Michigan a season ago, and he comes up with 13 tonight and 2 under the heaviest of pressure.
Here's Paul Davis making the tough move, the tough shot, and Michigan State by 2
with 4.7 left.
All right, fans, well, welcome into the Spartan Scoop. I'm joined by Paul Davis, former Michigan State basketball star and member of the 2005 Final Four. Paul is here to help preview the game against Miami, Florida tonight. So, Paul, thanks for joining us, and how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, and probably like most of the country, just kind of sifting through the bad decisions I made on the first day of the brackets.
Now, aren't we all? But, Paul, part of the reason why Michigan State made the tournament this year is because of the freshman class for Michigan State. That includes Miles Bridges, Nick Ward, Cassius Winston, Joshua Langford. Are you surprised at how talented and successful that they have been this year?
I think a lot of people have been a little surprised by how well they've handled this situation. I mean, I can't remember in the last 10 or 15 years or even before that a team has had their 2 seniors go down in the beginning of the season, another one for, the rest of the season in March, and then 4 freshmen have to play the majority of minutes. And it's a learning curve for those freshmen because when I was there, I had plenty of seniors, plenty of upperclassmen to kind of rely on. And also for Coach, I mean, he's had to figure it out along the way. It's something that I don't think he's had to deal with in his 20-some years of coaching. So they kind of got thrown into the fire, and they did pretty well in the beginning, and they're continuing to grow. I've been telling people that they're not doing anything wrong or anything different than any other freshman in the country, but more teams can hide those mistakes because they only have 1 or 2 freshmen on the court. Sometimes we have 4, and some of those freshman turnovers or freshman mistakes, just kind of get compounded. But, after the regular season, the Big Ten and NCAA tournament are kind of 3 different seasons, so I think they're ready to go today.
Well, Michigan State made the NCAA tournament for a 20th straight season. They are the 9 seed. They'll take on Miami, Florida, who's the number 8 seed. What's the schedule like right now? And how did you guys handle a weekend during the NCAA tournament when you were playing? So you land in your region, and then what? What do you guys do?
Well, beforehand, before we leave, Coach always says get everything taken care of now. Your family tickets, the reservations for hotels, all that kind of stuff. So once we're there in the city, it's almost like phones are off and you're focused in. So when they would have landed yesterday, I believe they probably either went to a gym to have a walkthrough or some shooting. Definitely at the hotel, they do a makeshift court in one of the conference rooms, and you walk through the team's plays. So I think it's new now, and they probably watched 2 sets of films and already had a walkthrough of Miami. And they'll probably watch one more set of film before the game. So by game time, usually we know more about the other team than the team knows themselves. And I know once the coaches land, they don't sleep until Sunday night. And I think that's the biggest reason why we've been so successful in March is because that preparation, all the video, all the scouting reports. So they're locked in. They're not leaving the hotel. They're not going anywhere. Anything outside influences, it's all locked in for Miami.
What's it like being a talented big man playing for Michigan State? You were by far one of the best big men ever to play for Coach Izzo. So what's it like getting double teamed all the time and the high expectations from Izzo and him hounding you in every single timeout or practice? What's that pressure like as a big man?
Well, for me, I was fortunate to come into a situation where I had 4 or 5 big men that were upperclassmen. I had Aloysius Anaganye, Adam Ballinger, Adam Wolf, Jason Andreas. When you have coach yelling at you 24/7, what it feels like, and then you have, your seniors and upperclassmen that kind of sift through the emotion that coach has, that's a little easier than what, say, Nick Ward has been going through. He's been having to learn everything on the fly. I mean, he's got some great upperclassmen and Tum Tum and Aaron Harris, and he's had, but, they're not the big guys. They don't necessarily know his role. So Dwayne Stevens, the assistant coach, and Izzo are just, they have so much information, and he's got to take everything in. Then he's got to play 30 minutes. And so I think Nick has been under a little more pressure than I was coming in. But the 5-man for Izzo's teams, there's so much that he needs to do on defense and offense, and it's so integral in the plays that he's really been doing a great job. I remember back to when I was a freshman, I had the opportunity to, maybe play 15 minutes a game behind those guys. So I was able to sit and watch and really take a lot of things in, and Nick's having to learn on the fly on the court.
So take us inside the locker room. What is Coach Izzo asking Nick Ward to do tonight? Being a big man yourself, what can you tell us about the role that Ward will have, and what is Coach Izzo kind of like this time of year? Is he any more crazier than usual, or what's he like?
Yeah, as hard as that is to believe, Coach does have another level of crazy, and that starts March 1st. But I'm sure the very first thing he's saying is stay out of foul trouble, and that's been probably something he's been telling Nick the whole season. To pick up one foul in the first 5 minutes is going to be a big problem for us if that were to happen. So that's the first thing. The other thing is establish himself in the paint. If the other big man, and I haven't looked at Miami's roster, but if they have a pretty good big man, we're trying to get him in foul trouble as well. So everything is rebound, offensive rebounds, and get to the free throw line. If Nick can get to the free throw line 10 times in this game, and he's able to get around 7 or 8 makes, that's going to be huge for us. So I'm looking for him to have a great game. I think he'll have 15 to 20 points and hopefully 8 to 10 rebounds. And I'm sure those are the numbers that Coach is telling him. But all that said, first game as a freshman in NCAA tournament, he's going to be nervous. He's going to be excited. So, look for, especially the whole team, look for the first 5 or 7 minutes to kind of be up and down, a little sporadic. But then once that adrenaline kind of subsides, they're gonna fall into their regular game.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to ask you next was, what was your first NCAA tournament experience like? Were you wide-eyed? Were you excited, nervous? How did you feel?
It's a different feeling because, usually when you walk into a gym away from the Breslin, you just see one color, one other team, one other fan base. But now the excitement around the arena, around the city you're in, around the fans, I think there's usually 4 different fan bases in one gym. So it's a very different experience than anything else that these guys have been through this year. But at the same time, it's exciting because it takes your game to a new level. And I think we'll see some good things out of these guys that we haven't seen this year. Hopefully not as many bad things, because along with this new experience, there comes a small learning curve, and that's going to have to happen within the first few minutes. And then, like I said, I think we'll even out.
Do you remember your first tournament game? I believe it was against Colorado, and I think you guys made it to the Elite Eight that year and ended up bound out to Texas. But against Colorado, can you take us through that game, maybe some memories as your first experience in the tournament?
Yeah, along with myself, Maurice Ager, Delco Rowley, and if you remember, Razem Lorbeck, we were all freshmen that year, and so the thing going into that, we knew that we had to play a pretty big part in the success of the team. So, we were able to stick together as a core group, like, listen, we got to follow, we have a job to do. I remember they had, I believe the big man's name was David Harrison. I mean, he had a great college career and didn't have a great pro career, but that was, I think Colorado was a pretty good team that year, and we came out of the gates and really, really played well. I think we were in Florida because the second round we played Florida and just demolished them by 20 in basically their home arena. So it's a lot of excitement. It's a lot of adrenaline. Your mind's going everywhere. You think you got to play even better than you were rest of the season. But like I said, that kind of fizzles out, after the first 5 minutes, and then you realize it's okay. This is, this is just like any other game, except you never want the pressure that if you lose, your season's done. For some people, your career's done. So you never want that to affect you in a negative way.
Okay, Paul, I have one final question for you. What is your prediction for tonight? Does Michigan State get the job done, and what are some key factors for them?
I think it's going to be an up and down game. I think the lead is going to change a lot during the game. I think it'll be decided in the last 5 minutes. And I look for us to win, not by double digits, but I think 6 or 8 points. And I think you're going to see, like I said, some of these freshmen play a little better than they have been all year. I think you're going to see the upperclassmen, be even more leaders. I think Aaron's going to be a great leader on the bench, and you will see another, like I said, that other extra level of emotion from Coach. He knows, because he's seen it every year that he's been here, that for some guys this is it. And I've seen the guys a few times this year at practice, and I say, listen, there comes a time in your journey that you will never put this jersey on again. And tonight, for some of those guys, that may be true, but you want to prepare yourself to where that's not the case, because when you take that jersey off for the last time, like I said, not ever being able to put it back on is a tough feeling.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today on the Spartan Scoop. And we are going to have Paul Davis back again sometime to do an in-depth interview with his career. Looking forward to that. But, Paul, thank you so much, and go green.
Definitely go white, and thanks for having me.
All right.
He got it!